Alright guys, so third job of the day today. It's gonna be a G35. We're gonna be doing the valve cover gaskets. And the oil pan, it's leaking. So this is what we're looking at. This hose here, it was leaking coolant, so they had to be adding antifreeze pretty often to this vehicle. So I already took off, obviously, the intake, some pipes, and the cover. The cover itself only has 4 bolts. They're 10mm. They go here, here, and then these 2 holes right here. It's only 4 bolts, 2 nuts and 2 studs. And then from here you got a little plastic gut that goes here with some clips. Take those clips off, and then you got the intake filter housing. You got the plug here. It's gonna have a clamp around here. I don't know if you can see. It's basically this guy here. Kind of sits like this. So it has this clamp that bolts to the housing. You loosen that one up. It has a bolt here. You loosen that one up, and you lose this clamp here, and it has this hose as well. You loosen those up. You're gonna take this guy out first, and then you take this guy out second. So put that aside, and then you start taking the top manifold off. You're gonna have a couple of stuff. You got a lot of bolts all the way around it. In the center, they're 10mm. You have water supply going to it, which is going to be actually no, this was not water, this is just air. But you got this guy here. You got the throttle body plug. You got all the bolts here. This one here, and then there's another one down here. Still one here. There's a few there is for the second half, but those 2 right there for the first half. So still gotta take these 2 guys. I unbolted this guy from here as well. We have that out of the way. So once we take this top half off, then we can move on to taking the second half off, and then we can move on to the coils and the wires and the pain in the neck it is to replace those valve covers. So anyways, let me get to it. Let me taking this guy off, let me loosen up the bolts for the bottom half, and keep on going down the hill. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I took the first stop. Now typically on the underneath the throttle body you're gonna have 2 hoses. This one right here, and then this one. They're both water supply. So you have to unbolt those 2. I usually just put it aside or get a bigger stud bolt and put it here so it doesn't leak out. But you can really just put it aside and just make sure you don't scratch the paint or anything like that. But I'm probably gonna just put a bolt on it so it doesn't leak, or maybe it won't leak at all if I just unclick it. But then now we gotta remove this guy here. So let me get that done, and apparently somebody's been here already because those are not supposed to be there. Those are different bolts. So let me take the bottom half off, and then I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so we have taken off the bottom half. So we got this bracket here. We got this bolt here. We have this bracket here. We have this bracket here. The 1 bolt here. The 1 bolt here in the back. and all this stuff's here in the middle. So that's pretty much it. So now we jump to the valve covers. It's alright, let me get to it and I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so here we are again. On the harness we have a sensor back here. Okay, we have this auto sensor that plugs into the harness. And then we have the valve cover, all the bolts. As you can see, got all these bolts right here. And you got one here, and then the one on the bottom. So you have your coils on top. They have bolts on each coil. The harness itself, it has a few bolts hooking up to the valve cover. But as soon as you loosen all that stuff up, it comes right off. So let me replace the gasket, put it back on, and keep on going. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I removed the cam sensor, put a new O-ring on it, put some silicone on it, that way it doesn't leak, because you don't want to put all this back together and all of a sudden you have a leak back there. So you will have to take the intake manifold off to be able to get that done. So now I already put the back cover gasket back on the cover. So now I'm going to put it back on. We got to put some silicone on these corners here, and the one here in the bottom we got to put some silicone there so it doesn't leak, and then we can start putting it all back together and we'll be finished with this side. So let me get done real quick and I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so back cover is back on. Now we got to put the coils and the wiring, flip it on this side and get that done, so we can jump on to the other side. So yeah, so got all the bolts, one here, the ones here on this side, the one on the very back, the one over here, the one here. So yeah, let me put the coils back on. I want to make sure that the plugs are tight. I'll put them back on and then keep on going to the other side. Be right back. Alright guys, so this side is all done. We got everything back together. The bolts, everything, the plug for the sensor, the pipe here, the hose, the little clips, this one. Got the sensor here, got everything back together. So now we gotta do this side. So let me get to it. This side's gonna be a little bit tougher just because we got more stuff going on this side. So bear with me, but we're gonna get it done. Alright, be right back. Alright guys, so taking this side off. The hardest part probably is gonna be you have the harness. You have to follow the plugs that go to the alternator, the AC temperature sensor, I believe, or AC high pressure sensor, and the oil pressure sensor. You have to unplug those and unclip it so you can pull this up so you can make room here, because the valve cover is going to exit through here. You're going to go back in the same way. I already did the O-ring and silicone the sensor here and tied it back down, so there's no more leak there. And now I just got to put everything back together, put a little silicone on the corners here, and put the valve cover back on again. And then repeat the process on removing. I want to say that the trickiest stud or bolt to take out is the one on that corner over there on the valve cover. The one that goes here. That's probably the trickiest because you got everything in the middle. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. You just gotta make sure that you make room here in the harness so you can slide the cover in and out. And yeah, just a matter of putting everything back together now. So I already put the cover on the gasket on the valve cover. I'm waiting for the glue to dry it up a little bit so the gasket doesn't fall out. And then we're gonna slide it back in and start putting everything back together again the same way it was. And we should be able to call it a day pretty quick. So let me get that done, put everything back together, and keep on going. Alright, be right back. Alright guys, so this side is all done. We got everything tied down, put back together. So now I'm gonna put the top stuff, the intake manifold. I'm gonna put that back together and then call it a day, and then come back tomorrow to do the oil pan. So yeah, let me get this done real quick and then get back to you guys. So we just gotta put everything back together the same way it was. So yeah, take this guy off the way and go from there. Alright guys, let's do it. Be right back. Alright guys, so we got the center portion done already, the first half. So we bolted on the fuel pressure regulator, the brackets, the wiring, all the bracket here, the bracket there. So now we just gotta connect the hoses, these two hoses, to the throttle body. Should be able to put it back on and then start putting on the bolts and then the intake and all that stuff. So actually, let's see, what is it that we're missing here? This is the throttle body. Yeah, this is the bottom half of the throttle body with this other hose here, and then this is the top. Alright guys, let me get that done and then I'll get back to you real quick. Alright guys, so we got everything bolted back together. We got the hose, all the bolts. These ones are different sizes, so in case you're wondering what size they are, the longer ones that go on the back and the short ones that go in front. And then the rest of them, they're all the same size on the two nuts. Then you got this guy here, you got the hose there, and the two hoses on the bottom. See, now I gotta put in the intake manifold with the air filter, the cover, and then that should be the valve cover job done. So let me finish doing that and then I'll get back to you guys real quick. Alright guys, so that's that. We put the valve cover back on here. We the valve cover, the intake manifold. It has a bolt right there, here, here, and then this plastic piece, and then this pipe here. So as everything is put back together, we're good. So we're good to fire up, but I won't. We gotta take care of some of the oil leak that it has going on the bottom. So tomorrow I'll be swinging by early in the morning to finish up the bottom section, because the bottom section is pretty bad. Let me show you guys real quick. So you can see it's pretty bad. So we gotta do the valve cover gasket, the oil pan gasket, and hope for the best. Because it sure looks like it's leaking everywhere. So we gotta do that one, and hopefully the oil cooler is not leaking as well. But let's get this one done. Alright guys, so like always, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.